Two events are blank if the occurrence of event E does not affect the probability of event F. So this is more a question of English. So if one doesn't affect the other, then it's independent. That's the word. Two things don't depend on each other. List an example of two events that are independent. Okay. So let's see which of these four are independent. Not putting money in a parking meter and getting a parking ticket. Now these two things depend on each other, so they are dependent. A father having hazel eyes and a daughter having hazel eyes, so that also depends on each other. Rolling a die twice. So what you get on one of the die, or what you get in the first roll, doesn't affect what you get in the second roll. So that is the thing. List an example of two events that are dependent. So we've already seen that rolling a die is independent. Um, Drawing a one card from a deck, not replacing it, and then selecting another card. So now, if you draw a card and you don't replace it, then what you get the second time is affected, because now the first time, like you're dividing by 52, and the second time you'll be dividing by 51 because you're not replacing the first card. So what happens on the first card does affect what happens on the second card if you don't replace. So these two are dependent. Determine whether independent or dependent. A person having an at-fault accident, the same person being prone to road rage. So these two depend on each other, because a person who is prone to road rage will probably, because of that temperament, do an accident. So let's see, they are dependent because if they're dependent, then they do have effect. ENF are dependent because being prone to road rage can affect the probability of a person having an at-fault accident. A randomly selected person planting tulips in October, another randomly selected person planting tulips in April. So now these are different randomly selected persons. So what one does should have no effect on the other. So they are independent. So they are independent. And this is the only one that is saying that they are independent. E cannot affect F and vice versa. The multiplication rule. So this section is mainly about the multiplication rule, and the multiplication rule says that if two events are independent, A and B are independent, then probability of A and B equals probability A times probability B. So you just multiply their individual probabilities to get A and B. So this is the multiplication rule. Probability E and F equals probability E times probability F. And it applies to which type of events? It only applies to the independent events. And how we apply it? So PE is given, PF is given. So E and F will just be PE times PF because we are given that they are independent. So you just multiply the 0.6 with the 0.9. You get 0.54.